Hey everybody, this is the sermon short for this week where we do the sermon in only a third of the time. As it turns out, this week we are back on campus. July 5th, 2020, on 4th of July weekend, on Independence Day weekend, we experienced the freedom of entering the campus to worship. Although many people will still be worshiping through the live stream, it's still a day to celebrate that we've turned over into a new chapter of worshiping together. 119 days ago, 17 weeks ago, over 4 months ago was the last time that we entered our campus as an entire church family to worship at 11969 Taylor Mill Road. My friend Aaron Sams preached a sermon how Jesus joins us in our circumstances. He joins us in our impossible circumstances. I can't think of a better theme to get us ready for this pandemic, but little did we know what we were into. As we have turned over a new chapter where we can now worship on campus, I want us to talk about how freedom to worship was never lost. It may feel like it was lost at first when we were forced to close our campus, but we didn't close the church. We became the deployed church, which we always were the deployed church, but now we have to be the deployed church. And now as we re-enter the campus, I want to remind you that we still are the deployed church because we are free to worship, yes, on campus, but actually we need to still make sure we're worshiping at home. We make sure we're still worshiping not just on Sundays, but every single day. When we look at Acts chapter 8, Stephen was the first Christian martyr and he had just been killed for his faith. It resulted in a great persecution that arose in Jerusalem. In Acts chapter 8, it says that every single believer except the apostles scattered away from Jerusalem. This sounds like a horrible thing. This sounds awful. It's a tragic experience, and it sounds like freedom was robbed from those first century believers. As it turns out, they continued to worship. I love this verse in Acts chapter 8. Now those who were scattered went about preaching the word. They didn't stop doing what they'd always been doing before persecution arose. They didn't stop doing what they were already doing, though they couldn't do it where they were doing it. This is really powerful because this is what it teaches us. Absolutely nothing will ever be able to stop you from worshiping God. Absolutely nothing will ever be able to stop you from worshiping God, wait for it, except you. You have a choice. You have a choice whether or not you continue to worship God right where you are. No pandemic can stop you. No persecution can stop you. No circumstances can prevent you from actually worshiping God every day, every time, every place, no matter what. The persecution didn't stop the first century church. May this pandemic not stop the 21st century church. And the only way that it can be stopped is if you stop, if I stop. If we want to reach this community, if we want to reach Northern Kentucky with the good news of Jesus Christ, with the light and the hope and the love and the joy and the peace that can only come through a relationship with the God who made you, who loves you, who sent his son to die for you, who's going to spend eternity with you if you place your faith in him, the only way Northern Kentucky, your city, and the world can come to know this is if no matter what happens, no matter what our circumstances are, we keep worshiping. So I would ask you this question for you to take this next step, for you to continue to be the deployed church. Answer this question. What's hindering you from actually worshiping God? What is the one thing that's hindering you from worshiping God? And here's what you're deployed to do today. This is your next step I'm asking you to take today, and it's simply this. Confess that. Confess to God one thing that you are letting hinder your worship. What's stopping you? What's causing you to choose to not pray? What's causing you to choose to not open up the Bible? What's causing you to choose to not be in the presence of God and to continue to proclaim his word? What is in the way? Confess that to God, own that to God, lay it before him, and then walk away from it today so that you can leave wherever you are and stay wherever you are and continue to worship God no matter what.